when you start to modify your PowerPoint presentation, you can actually have slides in there, you can have duplicates, and you can simply right-click on the slide and choose to hide it. So down here I've got hide, and that will actually wipe it out. Now you can still see it, and if you're going through this normal view that we're in right now, you'll still be able to edit that slide and see it, right-clicking it and unhiding it to bring it back. But it's nice because you can create somewhat duplicate of the slide, but just gear it towards that specific audience and just hide it when you don't need it. All right. So from here, I just want to kind of walk around a little bit for those of you who may be a little bit newer to PowerPoint. And the ribbon that I have up here, and I'm actually using Office 2016, and so we have all the new features in here, and there are a couple that are new. There's a couple of transitions that might be different, some automation. But a lot of it's going to look the same if you're using 10 or 13. You're going to see the same type of things. So just kind of looking at insert, things that you would expect to be there, new slide, we can add a table and pictures and a photo album, shapes. We're going to take a look at doing some smart art and charts. We're also going to look at, text box. And we're even going to take a look at some of these over here for video and audio, because they have some really cool features in there. You also have the drawing area where you can do all types of just kind of hand drawing. Particularly nice if you have a touchscreen or if you have like a Surface Book or a Surface Pro where you have the pen and you can actually write on the screen. So some of that is really nice to be able to have. Design tab is where we come in and we can change and choose from the different templates that are available. And you can see that as I'm hovering over them, it's kind of giving me a little preview of what that might look like. So I can change this, I can select it, and then if I decide that I don't like it, I can always go back to the one that I was using. And notice over on the right-hand side that you do have some choices about different colors. So if you kind of like that particular look, but that particular template, but not really the color scheme that you're looking for. And actually, I have Riblet on this one, kind of a funny name, but you can see I've got Riblet turned on here. So that kind of gives it a little different look. Looks a little bit like stained glass maybe to me, but you do have some options here where you can customize. You can customize the type of font that you use. But when you select one of these templates, it's going to set it all so that it is all the same throughout, which gives you nice continuity, which is something that you're going to want for your presentation. So it's going to kind of give you that base. And if you click, and I just want to make sure that you saw that. So if you click the arrow here, this is going to show you more themes, and then you can even browse out for themes. You can change it and save it as a new theme. So there's lots of choices that you have to be able to customize these. All right. Transitions. And I'm just going to kind of stop here for a minute as we're looking through, but I wanted to just show you a couple of these. And if I click down, I'm looking at the transitions. These are the ways that the slides actually move through. And I can tell you there's, what do I want to say? There's a good practice or kind of a good, I want to say rule of thumb, but that's not really what I mean. But if there's less can be more. And I know you guys know what I mean. If you've seen a presentation that has a lot of transitions that are different and a lot of animation, it can be really distracting. So tasteful, I think, is what I was looking for. You want to pick your transitions and your animations somewhat carefully, and you want to kind of use them to emphasize something or to kind of maybe in a nice way surprise your audience so that you're kind of keeping their interest. And use it that way. And I would recommend not mixing a whole bunch of different transitions, but have one transition for most of your presentation, and then use the transitions wisely to kind of bring the audience in certain places. So wanted to give you an idea of the kind of thing that, and it might just generate some ideas for you. I'm going to go ahead and just start the slideshow with the slideshow button down here, just to give you an idea of something that you might want to use. So here I've started my show. Now I'm going to the next one, and you can see that transition was just really quick. All right, so in that one, you can see what actually happened, and I'm going to go back to that one. Because what I was talking about in this slide, I was talking about all the problems that we had last year. We had this going on and that and the other thing. And now we've turned over a new leaf. We've made investments in new technology. And so last year, we're going to take that, crumple it up, and throw it away because this is the new year, and here's what we're seeing now. Our problems are resolved. We have an increased revenue. Our performance increases better. Our employees are happy. So that's something that might be useful for a transition to kind of just spice it up a little bit. So you got a little animation here. So on this slide, probably my graphic could have been a little bit better. It looks a little fuzzy, but so on this one, what we're actually doing is talking about welcoming in the new staff and helping them reach their goals. And on this one, it looks like I just went across a big slide, but actually what this one is this is the picture and the graphic, and what I did was I cut this, so I cropped it into two sections. So I've got the first one, and then the second part of that is cropped onto the next slide. And then I used the push transition, and I went over to effects, and I said from the right. So it gives it that feeling that, and we'll just look at it. So it gives it that feeling that it just continues on. So those are some things that you can do with thinking about how you might use transitions to kind of spice up your presentation. And you can see there's lots of different transitions here. I mean, all kinds of things that you can do. So it's just really being creative about that. All right, going back to our ribbon, take a look at animations, and we're going to spend some time in animations in a little bit. But again, it's kind of using that to just tastefully, bring the audience in and keep some interaction there. Slideshow is where you can do all the things that you need to do to get that slideshow ready to go. And we'll come back to that in a bit. Review, this is where you can do, spelling check and all of the things that you normally would have in review for Microsoft Office. The View tab gives us some different views that we can select to look at things, including the Slide Master, which is, the Slide Master is the area where we can make changes to the base of the slideshow. So this is kind of changing it at the root level. If we wanted to change the type of font or the type of bullets that are used or the coloring, this is where we could do it, and it would carry out through all of the presentation. Okay. Let's close our master view And then I'm going to just come back to view. So we were looking here, Notes Master is another one, and Handout Master is another one. Those master views are changing the view for all of your notes or handouts or slides. So it can be a really, really helpful place to go. You also can see you've got some different colors here and how things are arranged. And I also wanted to point out that down in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see there is a Notes view, and these are another way to access those views without going to the view on the ribbon. So if I wanted to be in, let's say, Slide Sorter view, this is where I can look at all of my different slides. And from here, I can even rearrange these from here. I can do apply to all, so if I make a change and I want to add it to all of my slides, I can do that. But this is a nice place to be able to kind of see it all in all the slides in one area. And then you have your reading view, probably a little less used, but the last one is your slideshow. And that's going to start your slideshow from the slide that you have active, and that's the one with the red around it here. So we're just going to go back to our normal view. And in the notes, I'll show you that just really quickly. One of the things that I find really valuable in PowerPoint is being able to have presentation view. And that's the reason that that's nice, and we'll look at that and how we can work with that. But it will show you your notes so that you can see them, but the audience doesn't see them. All they see is the slideshow presentation. So this area here with notes, you can see now I just hit it. It just kind of toggles whether you can see it or not. And this is where you can add notes for yourself as you are creating this presentation. So if there's something that you want to make sure that you don't forget to say, you could put it in notes. All right. So I will leave that open for now, and we're back in our normal view here. And let's just go back up to our slides. So here's some on our ribbon. There's some add-ins that we can add. I happen to have Acrobat just because I have Acrobat installed. But one of the other things that I wanted to mention is this little guy right here, and this is really helpful if you're trying to find something and you don't know where it is. So let's say I'm trying to do something with a table, and I don't know, is it on the ribbon? I'm not even sure. I can just type in table there, and it will show me this is how you get to add a table, and I can do it right from here. Let's say I was looking for something about audio, right? So insert audio or a sound, what is it that I'm looking for? And this is really nice if you have recently moved from another version where things might have been in different places. We know how Microsoft likes to do that. So that can be really helpful when you're looking for something and you're not sure where it is. So that's kind of our orientation here. And so let's continue on. And I'm just going to go back to this slide number 3. And one of the things that I have found useful at different times is using a hyperlink. And with a hyperlink, you can either switch to another file. Sometimes you may be discussing something about a particular file, and you know that you might want to bring that up in the presentation at some point. And maybe it's something that you don't really want to put it in the presentation because you're only going to use it if somebody asks a question. You can certainly link to that, and you can see that this one kind of looks like it might be hyperlinked. I'm going to come down here and just select this one so we can take a look at how that's accomplished. So I select the text that I want to use as the hyperlink and right-click on it and choose hyperlink. Now I can go out and I can find an existing file on my computer, or I can go out to a web page if I want to do that. I could create a new one, or I can find a place in this document. So I can also use this hyperlink to go to another slide in my file. So that can be really helpful too. So let's say that when we did the increased revenue, that led to a trip because sales was able to get more increased revenue, so now we're able to take this trip. And so if there's a question about that, or if I want to refer to that, I can link to it. I'm going to say OK here. And now I'm just going to do my slideshow so we can see that. And if I clicked on increased revenue now at this point, it's going to take me to that trip slide. So pretty cool. So that's just one way that you can do linking. And again, you can link to a web page. Sometimes that's helpful if you want to link out there to show something out on the web. Just know that sometimes web pages change, so you're going to want to test that before you do your presentation again, especially if it's been sitting for a while. All right, so we kind of looked at this one already, and so I'm just going to come down a little bit. And let's take a look at our trip to Paris. So, and we know it's Paris, right, because of our Eiffel Tower, and we probably all want to go there right now. Would be nice. But one of the ways that you can kind of spice up your presentation is to insert pictures or to insert actual videos. And this one is a video that I got off of YouTube. And the nice thing about this is that it's very easy to do, and I may have videos that I actually have if you have a channel out on YouTube that you can use, or perhaps it's something where you're doing a training and you want to link to a YouTube video to show a certain piece of training. So there's lots of potential with that. One thing to note with this, if you are linking to a video out on the internet, you want to just make sure that you have internet connection when you go to do the presentation, because when you do this, you're not embedding the video, which you can do if you have the file on your computer, but you are actually linking to it. So you can see we have that traditional YouTube video play button, and if I play this, check this out. I'm having a meetup in Paris. Everyone say what's up. Okay, great. So you can see how that would really generate some excitement if you were playing that in your presentation. So this also acts like a picture. Well, let's show you how we actually go about inserting that in there. So I'm going up into Insert on the ribbon, and then I'm coming over to Video. And I can actually, if I click on that, I can either select to do online video or a video on my PC. If I select the one on my PC, it lets me browse out, wherever that might be, and then actually insert it. And that's embedding that video. The one thing that we want to make sure is that we have that as a file to go with us when we're copying over our PowerPoint presentation. And I'll show you how you can package that up later. But that's actually pulling that in. And the other option that I have is to do an online video. And depending on whether you're signed into Microsoft or not, it will give you different options. You can also embed code from there. But you can search right here from YouTube, and I just went out and looked for something from Paris. You can see that's the one that I had selected, and then you would just insert it. So I'm going to go ahead and just do it again once I select it. And so you can see when it came in that it was a little bit stretched looking when it came in, so I just kind of adjusted that to make it look a little bit nicer. And then you see you also have the black here because it didn't size in the same as the video. So I think I want to stretch his face out just a little bit more. And I can crop this. So once I have this selected, you can see it looks like the same type of thing that you would see for pictures. We have the same type of options. And over here I have crop. So that's what I'm going to do to this, crop off these black edges because I don't like that. And I'll click crop to save it. And now I can go ahead and I can apply a certain, type of frame to it if I wanted to. Whatever I think looks good. That's kind of neat. And that's pretty much it. Now when we're ready to play that and we're actually playing the slideshow, you'll see that button on there, and when you give it a click, it'll play the video. Just like that. All right. So looking at a couple of other ideas that we have here. So in this one, I have actually added a slide that's got a couple of different columns here. And this is the slide. If we click on the new slide button on the bottom half of it, it's going to let us select what type of slide that we want to look at or use. And the one that I had selected here was comparison. So you can see it's got a couple of different columns. That's nice. There's a title and content. There's all different ones here. And, if you really just want to take up a lot of the space, or you're not sure how you're going to want it formatted, you can always select blank, and that will just put a blank slide in. And I'm actually going to do a new slide at this point, and I am going to insert a blank one here so we can take a look at that. And just show you that if you are working with a blank slide, or if you are working with a slide that perhaps you've made some changes to it and it doesn't have the type of setting that you want, or for whatever reason that you need to do some type of inserts to it, you can always, let's say you started with a picture or a video, you can always add your own text box to it. So on the Insert tab, we're going to come over to Insert Text Box. You can go ahead, select that area, type in, okay, I know I'm really being obvious. But so there it is. We can make all the normal changes to it that you would expect for text. We can even shadow it. If we click on this Format tab back here, that's going to give us some even more interesting font and formatting styles. So if I'm just kind of moving this guy around, but I can change the direction, obviously, right? But I can also choose different types of word art. I can, actually outline the shape of the box if I wanted it to show where the box was. So there's a lot of different things that you can do from that Format tab, and I would just encourage you to take a look at those options. And again, it's not something that you're going to use for everything, but it's nice to be able to just accent certain things in a very creative, tasteful way to help give some interest for your audience. All right. So lots of things that we can do with text boxes, and again, you can create additional ones just by going to Insert, adding them. You can do word art right from here. But let's take a look at another one that we have. Another option that we have is what I have here, and this is actually Smart Art. And if you haven't played with that, I encourage you to. It is available in the other Microsoft Office products. And one of the nice things about it is it's very easy to take your text and create it in an interesting way. I certainly could have it like this with bullets, and that's very clean and very easy to read, and that's great. But after I have quite a few of these, it can kind of get a little bit boring. So it might be nice once in a while to kind of spice that up a little bit with some Smart Art. and you can see this is one type of smart art that I have here. And on the next slide down, here's one where it's done a little bit differently. So still providing all the same information, but just giving you some different ways that you can do that. And that's actually done from the Smart Art tab, and I'm going to go back up to this one so I have some room. And from Smart Art, I'm going to just choose what type of smart art I'm looking for. Or I can just browse through all of them. But let's say that I'm doing a process. I know that I'm going to start in one place and I'm going to be working through this. Maybe I like the gears. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. It's going to give me a starting point. I can certainly change the size of this. I can change the way it looks. I can change the colors. So maybe I want the colors to vary instead of being kind of all the same. Maybe I'd like it to vary a little bit. And so here I'm going to start with, and you can see that it's just, you know, resizing the text as I'm typing. Okay. Now, I know these names are not very exciting, but of course, when you put it in, yours would be much more exciting. But you can also change the styles, and that is really neat because it allows you to really customize it and give it the kind of feel for whatever you're looking for. So again, just going to kind of do a drop down. Gosh, I almost want to like take a vote and see what you guys like. I think that one's kind of cool. Let's take that one. So here's my different process, and I can see as I'm talking about it and I'm moving through it, I can add text to that. I can, you know, go back and make changes if I need to. I can format in whatever way I need to. So it's really flexible to be able to do it. And in fact, if I decide that I really don't want that kind of layout at all and I want to switch to something different, I can come over and I can make that change. So once you have it in there, you certainly can come in and make those changes and just say, well, what would it look like if I, you know, did it this way? So here's another one, the little chevrons that you can use. So smart art, pretty cool. And if you have quite a bit that you're doing, like if you're doing an organizational chart, you can come over and click this little tab here, and that's going to pop this out so you can actually type in the text in here. Process C. And then if I had something underneath that, then I could continue to add those bullets. And the way that I am moving those is probably what you would expect. It's using Tab, or to go back and promote it, I'm using Shift Tab. And that's how I'm changing what the level is of these. And then just to get rid of that, I can close that out and click off of it, and that's going to show my bullet items for process C that I created. All right. So that's smart art, pretty neat. You also have all the shapes that you are, you know, used to seeing with other ones. One thing to note are these cute little action buttons down here. You can actually put those in, and you can then use that as a trigger to do certain things. So you can make it play a sound, or you could hyperlink it, and there's lots of things that you can do with those, even a macro. So pretty neat. And you can choose, you know, when you mouse over it or when you click on it, it has different actions. So those action buttons are really neat there. And again, not something that you're going to use everywhere, but nice to know so that you can kind of spice things up a little bit. Right. So we can also, just kind of clicking down, looking at our chart, we can also add charts in. And I'm just going to go up to Insert again. And in our chart, we can start from this chart area. and just click on it. And I can select whatever chart appeals to me. And once I do, it's going to bring up that chart. And this is a little bit messy because I already have one. But you'll see that what is up here is where we can enter that data in. So if I am just doing this quick on the fly, and it's going to be something short, like the one that I have there that was created, I can just do it this way. It's very quick, no sweat. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that guy. All right, great. Thing is that you can also insert, if I go to table, I can actually insert a spreadsheet. So it's not limited by that. You certainly can, come in and you can use that data to create charts. You can create charts in Excel and bring them in. So there's quite a bit of flexibility there with that. You'll notice that once I have this selected up here, that you can see I can filter this out. I can also change the style from here. I can go ahead and add different chart elements and make changes to that. So I have a lot of flexibility with the charts that I have there. All right. Hopping on down to the next one, we're going to talk a little bit about animation and what are some of the things that we can do with it. And, you've probably seen some of the things that you can do. I'm just going to go ahead and switch to that animation tab up here. So I'm going to just click an element on my slide, and that's going to show me what the animation is available. And I'm going to click this More button, drop that down, and it's going to give me some additional animations that I have available. And we can even look at more down here. And you can actually even create your own with custom motion paths. You actually move your mouse to create where you want it to go. So there's a lot of capability with these. And we have different ones. The green ones are for entrance. The yellow ones are for emphasis. So it's when you have that on the screen and you want something to happen with it. Perhaps it's a little icon or a little graphic. And then maybe something to exit. So lots of possibilities here, and there's even more actually when we get into it and look at some of the options that we have. So you can see on this one, it kind of looks a little messy. It's, what do I have going on here? I've got a text box over top of this picture. So what is it that's going on here, and what's that going to look like? So I'm going to go ahead and just do the slideshow from here so we can kind of see what that's going to do. And so to kind of bring some interest into this, into my presentation, in this section, I'm actually asking the audience a question. And I'll say, well, one of our new programs is doing security based on CVE. Does anybody know what CVE stands for? And if, they go out, shout out the answer, and then I can come over here and click this, and it will disappear. Click it again, it will bring in what that is. Yes, you're right, it is common vulnerabilities and exposures. So there are some things that you can do like that. You can actually even create, like a quiz board where you could have multiple ones, and you could do that and have, many different questions. It's something that you might do maybe as an educator, you might do with a class. So lots of different possibilities for that. And so let's take a look at actually what's kind of going on here. So for this one, I'm going to pull up the animation pane so we can see that a little bit more. So for this one here, I'm looking at, here is the animation, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that drop down so I can see what's happening. Under the effects, and I see it start when I click it, I could also start it with the previous. So if a slide comes on, when the slide comes up, you'll notice that the CVE came up automatically, but it waited until I had a click to do the common vulnerabilities and exposures, and actually until that went away. So the effect options that I have are nothing here, but on the click, here's the duration of what that's doing, and it's going to happen, within 5 seconds, so it's pretty quick there. Again, likewise for the content for the text, so here's what happens. I have it when it's clicked. I could do it to start with the previous, but I want to make it so that they're waiting for that answer. But I'll start with this animation here. So what I was talking about was how this animation is set up for this slide. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the Show Animation button. So this one is set so that each one that I click on is going to go to, it's going to display, and it's going to fade in. And that is requiring me to click on it each time and that I want it displayed. And maybe I want that because I want to make sure that I thoroughly talked about something before I bring the next one up. But there is another option that I can do here. You can see the little mouse, and that's showing me that when I click it, that's what's going to happen. But I do have some option here that I can say start with previous. So let's say I want to click the first one, but then after that, I just want them to come in. So I'm going to start with number 2, and I'm going to come down and say just start with the previous. Again here, start with previous. So these are going to, nicely just kind of come in. So now that I have that set, let's take a look and see what that looks like. So I do my first click, and they all came in because they started with the previous one. All right, so as we look at this one, again, there are some options that we have as far as timing. So if we want to say, start it after the previous one, and let's give it some timing. Let's take a look at what that timing might be. So I actually want it to come after the other one, but I want it to delay for 5 seconds. So we're going to take a look at that and see what that's going to look like for our slideshow. So here's my first click, and then that came in. Let's go ahead and finish that up just real quick. And we can change those options and say start after previous. Let's go ahead and set the timing. And I'm going to just delay that a little bit. Okay. Great. Now, if I continue down with the rest of these, you would see that, in fact, it's, would go ahead and continue to do that. Let's just take a little tour here. So you can see how that would look as they just kind of come in. And you can change how that looks. You can certainly change the time on that you'd like. So it's a very nice way to add in some different animation. All right, so here's the slide that you've probably been wondering, what's going on there? So there's a presentation that I did, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about was some common questions that we have. And the way that I did that was had it in the presentation, and kind of like this one, it had a ring. I had a different, actually had an old-fashioned phone and a different ring, but one of the things that's cool about that is that it really kind of wakes people up. So if you've been going through maybe quite a bit of material and you want to spice it up a little bit because you want to keep everyone interested, that's an idea of something that you can do, and certainly, I'm sure you could come up with others as well. But that one is kind of the phone ringing, and so here's a question, and now that I have everyone's attention, I can say this is a common question that we have. and hopefully you guys can hear that. I'm not sure, but I'm actually at the end of my slide. So the neat thing about that is that that was actually recorded by using on the Insert tab by going to Audio. So you can go in and you can actually record audio, and that will bring up a little name thing where I can say, this is question 2. I mean, you can name it whatever you like. You click the record button, it will record you or whoever, and then you can stop it, you can save it, and then you can insert it here, and you see that little speaker button that we have. And so when I click that speaker button, it's going to go ahead and play this. So it's a really kind of a fun way to spice things up in your presentation. So just another kind of idea for you. So we talked about the video and the audio. Another thing that you can do is the screen recording, which is pretty cool. If there's something that you want to be able to show someone how you did something, you can just do a screen recording. And what that actually does is it brings up this box. It's going to let you select an area on your screen where you can do that recording, and then you're going to record it. When you're done, you're going to click stop, and it's actually going to record your keystrokes and actually the sound. So you can do like a short little instruction about how you might want to do something. So it's pretty cool, and you can actually then put that screen recording as part of your presentation. So when you play it, it's going to show that little video that you've recorded and play that in your presentation. All right, so some pretty nice features that we have in PowerPoint. It definitely has a lot of capability. A couple of other things I just want to show you real quick. Under File, you can also export this, and if you come down to Export, you'll see you have some different options here. And one of them is to create a video. So if you were, and I'm just going to switch back to our slideshow here. So if I were setting up something to perhaps play at a kiosk, or you know, if there was a video or a presentation that I was creating for, let's say you have a TV that that displays, that you want to display a video when in your lobby or your greeting center, you could actually create it in PowerPoint. You could have it go through the transitions of the slides. You could have music in the background by adding audio, and you can actually come through and record the slideshow. And it could record your voice if you were narrating, perhaps, but you could click through it, and it would record all the timing and the voice with that timing. And then you could save that and export it as a video. So some pretty neat thing there. Another thing that you can do is package the presentation. It says for CD, but you can also save it to a folder. So if you click Package for CD, and what that does is it pulls, so if there were other files that I needed as part of this PowerPoint presentation, you know, maybe it's a video that's linked or a file that's linked to it, and I would need that with it, I can put all the files that need to be part of that with it, and then I could go ahead and just copy that to a folder, save it, and then I can take that and put it on a flash drive. And then I would know that when I went to whatever venue I was looking at presenting from, I would have everything that I needed there. So it kind of rolls it up in a real nice way for us. All right, I think we are pretty much out of time at this point. But there are many other things that you can do in PowerPoint, and if you guys are interested in doing, like a deep dive into PowerPoint, I'd certainly be willing to do that. It's pretty fun. There's a lot of creative things that you can do, and kind of really like the software a lot. And hopefully you all do too. So just looking over those tips that are in the handout, some of the things that we talked about were, using a font that's easy to read from a distance, don't have too much text on your slides. You want to kind of keep things simple. You want to create interest, but you want to do it in a tasteful way. You don't want to do too much because it can be distracting and it will distract from you as the presenter with what you want. And when you're doing that presentation, one of the things that I see that's common is going to a place that you're not quite sure of. Try, if you can, to have a little bit of time. If you are presenting in a new location, make sure that you've got a backup of your presentation printed, just in case the technology fails for whatever reason. At least you'd be able to move on with that. If you have printed handouts and you have a printout of the presentation, you can still do it old school. But if you do have an opportunity to make sure that you spend a little bit of time making sure that the screen size for your presentation and on the projector where you're presenting are the same, those kind of things are really important when you're going to do a presentation. Just give it a try before you actually do your presentation. And the last thing I would say is just practice. It sounds kind of crazy, but that's really how it gets smoother. And you can actually come in and you can record it just to listen to yourself, or you could do rehearsed timings just to see how long your presentation is taking. I would also recommend using presenter view if you can. You want to make sure that you're extending your screen if you do that, so that what you're seeing on your, say, laptop presentation is in that presenter view versus what the audience is seeing, just the slide. And I'm going to see if I can change my view and share a different screen, because I would really like you to see what that looks like. So hang on just 1 second, and I will see if I can get that other screen for you. Okay, so hopefully at this point you're seeing this is a presenter view, and one of the nice things about this is that this large slide is the current slide that's being displayed right now. So you can see that I have this, I'm looking at it, but I can also see what the next slide is up. And if I have notes that are recorded, I can see those notes here. So it really becomes very seamless to the audience and to you as the presenter to be able to look at this and look up, talk to your audience, know what the next slide is coming so you're ready for it. And you do have some additional options down here. You can black out the screen. So if you're taking a break and you just want to make a point, or if you're just doing a transition, switching from one speaker to another, that may be times when you might want to just blank out the screen. You can also use the zoom feature to zoom in to a certain section of the slide, depending on where you want to go. And again, click it to take it off. If you need to switch back to another slide, going to the slide view real quick is going to allow you to do that if you need to just go back for a moment. So some really nice features that you have here that really help you out as a presenter. It also gives you, if you're under a time constraint, it'll give you the time over here on the left of how long you've been, and over on the right it will tell you actually what the time is, and I am completely out of time. So thank you so much, and I really hope that you found some value in this today, and look forward to seeing you again next month, or talking to you next month.
Thanks a lot, Patty. And again, reminder, July 12th, automating tasks with Excel macros, and we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.